made to you so special? Nothing. I'm just a kid from Brooklyn.
Brooklyn!
Were you scared of that? Not at all.
Nope, I'm from Brooklyn.
You're from Brooklyn,
The most shady. Frankie, baby. Hey.
Okay, guys, Frank Style, just a guy from Brooklyn. I got a special guest star, and this is Angel Bencebi, and we are talking about the top 20 superhero / comic book movies. Pretty much anything that's come from a comic book first. That's what our list is about. We're going to be talking about our list, and we will be debating our list. This is one of the things I love about this man right here. He does not let anything slide. He's actually given me some great recommendations in the past from my other lists. So he knows his stuff. He knows his movies.
My name is Angel. I am from Brooklyn. Born, raised, and bred. Born in Red Hook and raised in Sunset Park. I was an intern at Marvel Industries. Absolutely loved it, and it went from there.
Let's get to our two rules really quick because we really want to get to this list and get this thing going. Rule number 1 is spoilers. There are no new superhero movies on this list. We'll be spoiling everything on this list. Hard spoiler warning for you guys out there. Rule number 2 is, as always, this is a favorites list, not a best list. So the best way you can get back at us is to talk to us about our list by showing us yours in the comments section.
My first honorable mention is The Amazing Spider-Man 2012. Andrew Garfield is probably the most accurate looking Spider-Man. Long and slinky, lengthy looking. I love the sarcasm that he brings to the movie. I'm more of a darker type of style movie and more realistic, and I thought that brought that to the cinema, and I absolutely loved it. I love the cinematography and the special effects, and the action was absolutely great for me.
The Amazing Spider-Man was a great film. Did not make my list. However, I will say that I do love certain things about the movie. There was a backstory that came out in the comics about Peter Parker's parents being like SHIELD agents and shit like that. They tried to introduce this in this new wave of Spider-Man movies, and it did not work. Nobody cares. Nobody cares about Peter Parker's parents. They only care that Uncle Ben died, and they should have stuck with that. Gwen Stacy thing I loved because in the comics, Peter dates Gwen first, and then MJ shows up later. And I do not like the Lizard. I don't like his face. I get it. They wanted the Lizard to talk. In the comics, the Lizard really doesn't talk. He's kind of mindless.
Correction. He doesn't start talking as he's forming more into the reptile, into the Lizard. In the very beginning, he does talk. But as he's getting more into becoming a reptile and more into the Lizard role, that's when he stops talking.
Not only does he keep talking, in No Way Home, he shows up again and talks even more. But we will digress from all that. Honorable mention number 1, and that is Black Panther. Came out in 2018. Black Panther is an awesome movie. The negatives that I have with Black Panther is the large CGI battle at the end. I thought it really went a level down with the two Black Panthers fighting each other. They had rhinos. They didn't look like real rhinos. They looked ridiculous.
Placement is trash. I'm sorry.
Fair
it's
enough.
One of the best movies that ever came out of Marvel. Tell me what movie that practically the third act wasn't trash. A lot of movies are like that, and they were great. You're going to blame it on rhinos? Because you didn't like the way they look? It's a fantasy, fake comic book movie. Black Panthers don't even exist. Purple herbs don't exist either.
So purple herbs don't exist, and Black Panthers don't exist. At least not the animals.
I mean,
but rhinoceroses do exist.
You know,
in this world and in other worlds. So
that you have to go through a force field to get to this world.
To make a rhino, if you're gonna make a rhino, you can make a rhino with CGI. If you can de-age Sam Jackson 30 years, You can make a rhino look like a real rhino.
It's not supposed to be.
That's just my opinion.
It's not supposed to be a real rhinoceros from the zoo. It's an
absolute real rhinoceros from Wakanda, which is
Wakanda, which nothing in there. Nothing in there is normal. You know, it comes from a place that you have to go through an invisible force field just to get there. It's supposed to be a giant, unregular rhinoceros.
So that would make a rhinoceros look fake? The
CGI?
The force field causes rhinoceroses to look fake?
You know what? Let's just go
Let's just digress.
99% of the people out there is going to agree with my list.
That is a bold statement.
My second honorable mention is Batman 1989 with Michael Keaton. When I was a kid, it was probably one of the best movies that ever came out. I rocked the t-shirt. I also had the lanyard with the Batman symbol on it. I went with my brother and my aunt to watch the movie. I thought it was off the hook, so dope. For its time, the special effects were great. The action was dope. Like I said, I love the darker versions of movies. Tim Burton, one of the best probably directors and story writers out there, for me at least. Great movie.
I absolutely love Batman 89. It's definitely a monumental comic book movie for cinema. I mean, before that, there really wasn't much there. You had the Superman movies of the late 70s and pretty much anything in between. There wasn't much as far as comic book movies. So this was a big one. It made comic book movies more serious. I like the Prince soundtrack. I pretty much like everything about the movie. The only issue with it, and it's a very minor issue, is that they made the Joker the killer for Bruce Wayne's parents. Mild, not a big deal.
If you know, there were different stories in the past, and you know, Batman's parents got killed different ways. There was a time where a guy killed his parents in an alley who did become the Joker. He was a part of a gang, the Red Hood gang.
Comics can be very, very weird. They can go off into different directions. They got all types of crazy retcons. They have different universes. Maybe he did so in another universe. Maybe he did so in Joker's mind. I have no idea. I do know that they fixed it in the Nolan films, and Joe Chill was the killer in the Nolan films. And I think it's better that way. My honorable mention number 2 is Man of Steel. I absolutely love Man of Steel. It is my second favorite Superman movie. It is a little on the dark side, but I kind of like that. I like the cast here. I think they have the perfect Superman. Henry Cavill is, as far as I'm concerned, the best Superman. No argument there. I'm not crazy about Amy Adams playing Lois Lane. I didn't think they had any chemistry whatsoever. Once again, I do feel that the biggest negative is, I'd say, about 25 minutes of just total destruction at the end of the movie. I did not like that. I didn't feel like it needed to go there. Sometimes movies go big when they don't necessarily need to go big. They literally destroyed like the entire city, you know, and some of the planet when they were trying to terraform it. As far as the DCEU, it is one of its best. I think it's definitely criminally underrated as far as I'm concerned.
Here goes my third, and is The Incredible Hulk, 2008, Edward Norton. Probably the best Hulk on film. Besides, I do like the Hulk from the first Avengers, but you can't get any better than this Hulk. His look, the action, again, is darker. I like that version. He does get bigger as he gets angrier. Okay, the Hulk and the Abomination, their time on film together was absolutely amazing. Going at it in the city, destroying the city, him destroying tanks and helicopters. Hulk is so strong, he can actually jump so far that you would think he's flying.
I love The Incredible Hulk. I think that it's extremely before its time. I think Edward Norton is a better Bruce Banner, and I'm not the only one. Once again, very similar to Black Panther. I'm not crazy about the CGI involved in the Hulk, The Incredible Hulk at the end. However, this is a 2008 movie, and CGI at that time was not very good.
Today, we don't even got good CGI as much. For its time, it was absolutely amazing. especially that scene when he was on the mountain and it was raining on him.
I like that scene very much.
That scene was pretty sick.
Okay, so my last honorable mention is, and I'm sure this is going to be a big hot take for Angel, and that is Superman 2. Now, I have to be very specific about this because there are two separate cuts of Superman 2. I'm speaking about the theatrical cut done in 1980. This is known as the Lester cut because Lester took over for Richard Donner. I grew up watching this movie. It's one of the first modern big budget movies of comic books. I am not a fan of the first Superman movie, never have been. Got a big musical number with him flying around with the music and Lois Lane narrating. You got him running around the earth, turning back time, which I think is really, really stupid. This was better. This was more my type of film. You had Superman with not one enemy, but three, all with the same powers as him. Terrence Stamp, who played Zod, the first Zod, his performance is absolute cinema gold. Everything that he did, he was so over the top. You know, kneel before Zod and all the stuff that he used to do. It goes deep as far as him dealing with his powers and what he has to sacrifice if he wants to be with Lois.
I do think Superman 2 was a great movie. Superman 1 started it all. That's all I'm just saying. You know? But Superman 2 I did like. I did like Zod. I did like the two other characters. I thought it was good. For me, I would have made that part 1. My top 20. Maybe people would like my top 20 or think that I'm wrong for this one. But it's Logan. It's hard for me to like an X-Men movie because none of them were done right, in my opinion. What's the ballerina's name again that plays Wolverine?
Hugh Jackman.
Hugh Jackman? Didn't like a tall, beautiful guy who played Wolverine. I didn't. I was expecting a shorter, brolic, more rough around the edges type of guy to play Wolverine. I did like Logan. It was more into the future. Charles Xavier was sick. Wolverine was taking care of him. You got the villains that were called the Ravagers. They finally, showed up. Did I like the way they look 100%? I didn't. But like I said, out of all the X-Men movies, this one was probably one of my favorites.
I think Logan is a fantastic film. I would say that the majority of fans have it way high on their X-Men lists. I don't, but not because it's not a good movie. The only problem that I have with Logan is that the movie that preceded it, Days of Future Past, had a very perfect ending, and Logan took a big old dump on that ending. I view Logan as more an ending to the original trilogy. I kind of look at it as its own thing. I also think it's a little on the dreary side. I mean, everybody and their mother dies in this movie, including Logan himself.
We got the introduction of X-23. She was the best part of the movie to me. We're still using her to this day.
My number 20 is Blade 2. Came out in 2012. Blade 2 gives you a different take on Blade by having Blade having to team up with his biggest enemies, the vampires, because there's a new strain of vampire known as the Reapers. I love the look of these vampires. They've got like this big vagina mouth thing that opens up kind of like the Predator. You ladies that love vampires and are like, oh, please bite me, Brad Pitt, whoever you're thinking of. You don't want this thing biting you. This thing just turns you, and it turns you into a vampire crackhead, basically. I'm not going to talk out the side of my mouth. There is some bad CGI in this one, and this is one of mine.
CGI guy.
This is one of mine, especially in the beginning when Blade fights a few vampires who look like ninjas. It looks really bad. I think the first two Blade movies are awesome. Third one, kind of a guilty pleasure for me, but that's not really, we're not talking about that right now.
We're definitely not talking about that, Frank. My 19th is Shang-Chi. Came out in 2021. Out of all the Marvel movies out there, Shang-Chi had to make my list. I have a problem with all the mystical animals and stuff. Another gateway to another place that these people live in, just like Black Panther. But I do love the fact that, you got your father and son going at it. The son is the mother's baby. He found out that, in order to win and beat his father, he can't go into this fight being angry. He learned the way of his mother, and he actually won. It basically hits home when you think about that. So most of us inner city Brooklyn kids.
I think Shang-Chi is one of the better movies of the post-Endgame MCU movies. I was looking forward to this movie a lot because I'm a big fan of martial arts movies. So this was basically the first martial arts MCU movie, unless you want to count Iron Fist, which let's not, right? You had a perfect setup. You had father against son.
Yes.
You could have ended it with father fighting son and son beating the father, and that would have been fine. But what have I been saying? Big CGI ending with mystical dragons and demons
and demon dogs and all that
creatures. Moving on, we're going to go to my 19, which is Spider-Man, which came out in 2002. This is the first Tobey Maguire Spider-Man. Is it perfect? Absolutely not. But it gives you Spider-Man's origin story, and I think it's pretty accurate to that story from the comics. And this is not just this movie, but a lot of movies that took place in like the 90s and even in the 80s. You got like 40-year-old people playing like teenagers, and all of the high school scenes look absolutely ridiculous. Flash Thompson looked like a grown-ass man fighting Peter. I didn't like any of that, which is probably why they went straight to college. Like, blink and they're in college all of a sudden. They graduate because they kind of knew this. The biggest problem is the design of the Green Goblin. He looks like a fucking Power Ranger. He looks ridiculous. And you've got the perfect actor to play him, and we can't even see his freaking face because it's covered in the Power Ranger mask.
I'm sorry. Didn't like it. When it came out, it was exciting. We finally get a live action Spider-Man. Willem Dafoe, one of the best actors out there on film to this day. Don't like Tobey Maguire's face. Don't like the way he speaks. And I'm sorry, I'm going to offend a lot of people out there. He just does not do it for me. If you guys go back into the YouTube, you can see the original makeup and the original Green Goblin that they were going to use. And it's very upsetting when we saw this Power Ranger, which Frank likes to say, fighting Spider-Man. It is a big letdown for me.
Angel, you're number 18.
Is Deadpool. Another movie that people is going to be like, oh, why so low? It took me like 2 or 3 times to watch the whole movie. I like the fact how it came out. I like the fact that Ryan Reynolds did a little skit and then it made it a movie. Ryan Reynolds is the perfect person to play Deadpool. The action was absolutely phenomenal. Why I have it too low? Because we're going to have the only X-Men that ever exist in his world, and it's Colossus. His size was good. I don't like the doofiness that they gave him. And it's just, I got better movies than Deadpool.
Moving on, we're going to my number 18, and that is X-Men Days of Future Past. Now, I grew up reading X-Men comics. They were one of my favorite comics to read. And the Days of Future Past storyline, which was slightly different. It did not have Wolverine going back in time. It had Kitty Pryde going back in time to stop an assassination attempt. It fixed a lot of the problems of the third X-Men movie, X-Men The Last Stand. It pretty much, he goes back in time, and not only does he save a really bad future for the X-Men and for the planet, they also retcon. It's a new universe. It's a fresh start. They're going clean, and it did this perfectly. It also gave you a chance to see the cast from the first 3 movies meet up with some of the cast from the newer movies. It goes very dark. They show a lot of X-Men being offed, and I just love that with these super sentinels that are just like killing people left and right.
They had to make a bad movie to fix the other bad movies that they did. Again, didn't really like none of the X-Men movies. They have a lot of stuff boggled in all these movies, and they were going crazy with these movies because they try to make this popular.
Angel, you're number 17.
My number 17 is Iron Man, Robert Downey Jr. murdered this movie. There is nobody perfect than Robert Downey Jr. to play Tony Stark. What do you think? Ain't nobody messing with Robert Downey Jr. I'm glad that they gave him a second chance to come back. He's an actor big in the 80s. You know, he was a heartthrob then, and he's a heartthrob now. I'm sure all the ladies love him. And the men want to be him.
I can't say anything bad about this movie. Iron Man is awesome. Without Iron Man, you don't get the MCU.
You don't.
Without them picking Robert Downey Jr., you probably don't get the MCU. So there's two reasons right there. I have zero negatives for this movie. I love Iron Man. My number 17 is X2, X-Men United, the second X-Men film. I do like the first X-Men film, but let's face it, they were wearing black leather outfits that look nothing like what they look like in the comics. I hated that. Effects were not very good. You could see Wolverine's claws were kind of attached to his gloves. It's dated. It hasn't aged well. But what X2 did was they kind of took most of that black leather crap out, give you a great story involving Wolverine. I'll admit, this one is very, very heavy on the Wolverine stuff. It has to do with his past, William Stryker. My biggest reason for having it so high and why it is my favorite X-Men movie is that at the end, it kicks off the Phoenix Saga. Now, did they do well by doing that later on? Absolutely not. And they tried twice.
Not at all.
But it at least at that moment when I saw that little phoenix in the water symbol, I lost my shit in the theater. This movie is way before its time. It doesn't get the credit that it should get.
It's got to be my favorite X-Men movie, which I didn't even really like none of them. But the Nightcrawler scene, the Nightcrawler character, did it for me. Murdered the whole movie. So dope.
Angel is very passionate about not liking the X-Men movies. I get it. Angel, what is your number 16?
My number 16 is the Justice League Snyder Cut. Thought the movie was so damn long, but finally I got every DC character in a film that I've been waiting for a very long time. Was I happy with the Flash? Don't really like the character. Don't even like the guy who played him. But, Batman, Superman on the screen with Wonder Woman and Aquaman and Cyborg, which I think he was supposed to be down with the Teen Titans, but, he did great, amazing on the screen. But, to see this movie finally made and the Snyder Cut, which Snyder had not left the DC universe, he should have just kept on.
I am a fan of the Snyder Cut. I think that the original cut of the movie was absolute garbage. Is it long? Yeah, it's really long. And I get why Snyder made it long, because he didn't know if he was going to get to do any other movies. So he said, let me just throw everything but the kitchen sink. Do I need, Nordic women singing to Aquaman, sniffing his sweater as he walked into the water? Not really. Do I need to see the Flash go on a job interview, at a pet store? No, we didn't really need that. Schneider did a fantastic job. He improved on every single thing that was done before it, which most of it was his stuff anyway, but he got to do it the right way. Okay, my number 16, probably another hot take for Angel, and that is V for Vendetta. Came out in 2005. A lot of people don't even know that this is a comic book movie. It came from a graphic novel. It was made by the guys who did The Matrix. And when everybody went to the theaters to see it, they were expecting something like The Matrix. And it is absolutely nothing like The Matrix. This is something way different. It's kind of a future in London. It's led by kind of a fascist tyranny type of government. And you have this guy in the Fox mask who his origin is very similar to Deadpool. When you see this movie, you see some of the things that happen in the first Deadpool movie. Now, this movie came out in 2005. Understand, they have stuff like pandemics. They have stuff like crazy politics, people getting locked up for having art and shit like that. People locked up for being gay. This is before its time. You got to understand these are topics that are discussed now on the regular, and this movie did it years ago. I think that Natalie Portman did a great job. She shaved her friggin' head to do the movie, so I give credit where credit's due. I think it's solid, and it's deep stuff.
Sorry, Frank, I don't even remember the movie, and I saw it.
You had one job. Just the one.
Angel, what is your number 15?
Robert Pattinson's The Batman. It takes Batman at an early time of his time of becoming Batman. I think this is year 2. I like that they get into the details, like, you know, when he's just like flying through the sky and landing, and he's not landing like perfectly, and he's tumbling on the floor, and this is it shows the more detective side. Was it very long? Did it take me like another movie that took me 3 times to watch it? It did, but I ended up appreciating it after I watched it for the second time, and it took me another 3 times to watch it again. The darker emo version of him, not too sure if I'm too crazy about it, but, you know, I'm excited. This made it to my list because I'm also excited about this movie for the future.
So here's a hot take. We both have it at number 15. So my thoughts on the Batman 2023. It gave us a different version of Batman, a younger version, as he mentioned. I do like all of the setup. I like this version of Catwoman very much. At first, I did not like this version of the Penguin, but after seeing the HBO show of the Penguin, I get it. I kind of get where they're going. At first, I'm like, Colin Farrell in a fat suit? What are we doing? I do wish that he had some umbrellas. You know, why can't you just give the fucking guy an umbrella? So I do like this version of the Riddler. I like the fact that it's very dark. This Batman in the mech suit. Listen, I am one of those guys that and not, you know, and this is not just this particular Batman, but most of the Batman movies, I do have issue, and I get it, because what are you going to do? Have him wear a leotard? I get that. But you're putting him in the mech suit, and so people are shooting machine guns at him, and they're just bouncing off. And so, is that Batman? I don't know.
Just like every other cartoon and comic book movie, Frank.
I don't know of any other comic books that on this list or any other list where like the superheroes have mech suits, full metal mech suits. Other than maybe Iron Man, I guess you could count Iron Man, but this is Batman. Batman's not really Iron Man. Batman's Batman. He's supposed to be one of the most skilled fighters. He's the world's greatest detective. And so they focus on the detective stuff, which is what I like about this movie the most.
Which he's a billionaire that he can make different types of suits like Iron Man.
I get it. You like the mech suit. That's fine.
It's not that I like the mech suit. He has tons of suits. And this one stops bullets. He has an underwater suit.
I've never known Batman to have different suits.
He also got bat skates.
Okay. I think that the positives outweigh the negatives. I'm looking forward, as Angel is, to the future.
Yes.
To see where they go with this. And hopefully they don't fuck it up, because this is Warner Brothers. Angel, introduce your number 14.
Sin City. But as a comic book, jumped out of the pages and went onto the screen. Absolutely loved it. I love the black and white with the color sequences. All the actors were amazing. The action was amazing. For its time, again, I actually enjoyed it.
No argument. This is like a graphic novel, similar to like 300, where you're taking a graphic novel, you're putting it in film, but you're keeping it as a graphic novel. You know, you've got these dark colors that are kind of popping at you. You got bright colors also popping at you. It's very noir. It started out very heavy rated R. You had some nudity and stuff, even a sex scene. But then as the movie progresses, you got Jessica Alba, a stripper who never takes her clothes off. Would I have liked to see that? Yeah, I guess I'm a pervert, whatever.
You haven't been to a strip club lately? None of them take their clothes off either. They probably got it based off this movie.
Guys, go see the new movie Anora that came out last year. Strippers absolutely take their clothes off in strip clubs. But anyway, I get it. Jessica Alba had something in her contract which says she ain't taking the clothes off for nobody. They wanted to use her. The girl can dance. She can move. I'm not going to argue. My daughter forced me to watch the movie Honey 1,000 times while she was growing up. So, you know, do I like Jessica Alba? Yeah, sure. She's cute. She's real cute. But if you're going to have a stripper in the movie, I say use somebody who can actually do the job.
You see where this guy's mind's at.
Rosario Dawson plays a prostitute. Doesn't take her clothes off either. And so my number 14 is Joker, which came out in 2019. Joker in the comics he's known to have many origin stories. This is one, and if you understand the character, he's crazy. So this is the point. This movie is all about mental health. This movie is all about a city failing its people, its patients when it comes to mental health. I thought Joaquin Phoenix did a great job. Is he my favorite Joker? No, but damn, does he come a close? He's a close second. I thought the movie was very, very deep with nods. It was inspired by a lot of movies, a lot of the De Niro movies from back in the day. And I love that. What you're seeing in the movie is not necessarily what is actually happening. You're seeing what's in Joker's mind. If you understand that, at the end of the movie, he probably kills a few people. You know, his neighbor, the female that he was in love with, probably killed her too. I see this movie for what it is. And it is a great character study of the Joker.
Well, the only bad thing that I have to say about the Joker is it didn't make my list. Because this is an actual phenomenal movie. I thought it was excellent writing. I thought it was excellent acting. Joaquin Phoenix blew it out the park. When we found out that it was Joaquin Phoenix playing the Joker, everybody was hating on it. No one couldn't see it. But we turned out excellent. It was an amazing movie. We absolutely loved it. I'm just a little bit upset that it didn't make my list. My number 13 is 1998. My boy Wesley Snipes, who started it all. Blade. If it wasn't for Wesley Snipes, I don't think we'll be having what we have today. And I'm getting a little bit thuggish about it because that's my man. Did I like the ones after that? I like part 2. And then after that, it went downhill for me. The soundtrack, the cinematography, the action, the acting. I'm glad that they brought him back in Deadpool and Wolverine. He looked great on the screen. Could I see somebody else like Mahershala Ali play him? Yes, I can. Mahershala Ali is a great actor. Ain't nobody messing with him either. But I can go for another Wesley Snipes Blade.
Blade, Spider-Man, and X-Men. Those 3 movies are basically the pioneers for the modern comic book movie. Those were the 3 movies that had Hollywood saying, you know what? This is a direction we can go. We can make a lot of money off this and take these movies a little bit more serious. And not only is Blade one of the first serious comic book movies, it's actually the first rated R comic book movie. And I give it a lot of credit for that. I think that bloodbath scene at the beginning just is like one of the greatest intros. It sets everything all perfectly. And unfortunately, Angel's going to get stressed because I'm going to have to mention 1990s CGI. At the end of this movie, he fights Stephen Dorff. And Stephen Dorff looks like something that my old PS2 made.
Again, my man Frank sees the glass half empty. That's all I can say with the CGI. He keeps on CGI. Who cares about the CGI? Listen, man, just have a better imagination. That's all I have to say. CGI can be cheesy. Of course. He likes Blade 3 with a fucking excuse me again, with the Pomeranian, with the predator mouth. Bad CGI. He loved it.
Blade 3 is a guilty pleasure, a movie that's really, really bad that I like to watch. So, yeah.
Pleasuring him, not me.
If Blade 3 has really bad CGI, yeah, it does.
The worst.
I'm not going to argue that.
Worse than the first one.
It's a bad movie. It's not a good movie.
Frank, worse than the first one.
I think you need to rewatch Blade.
Technology was better when 3 came out, but 1 was better, Frank.
I think you need to rewatch the ending of the first
movie. I think you need to rewatch Blade as an adult. 3. As an adult now.
I've seen all 3 movies on the regular every year. Moving on to my number 13, and that is Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse. Came out in 2018. It's one of the few animated movies, one of the better Spider-Man films goes into the Miles Morales storyline, and not only does it do that, it does it better than the Miles Morales origin story from the comics, which I did not like. It definitely does the whole multiverse thing, because this happens in a different universe, and it works. It involves multiverse with different Spider-Men teaming up with him to fix something that's being created that could destroy the entire multiverse. You get deep into Morales. Am I a little biased because he's from New York and he's half Puerto Rican? Yeah, I'm Puerto Rican. I live in New York. Am I biased for that reason? Absolutely. You asked me who my favorite Spider-Man is. It's Peter Parker. That's the one I grew up with. But I don't have a problem with having a different universe with a different Spider-Man. And I love it. I love what they did with Spider-Gwen, who's even from another universe, where she becomes Spider-Woman.
Animation. I'm not really big on it. I like live action. I like animation. I like the Ninja Turtles animation. I mean, it depends. I like the movie. I thought the movie was pretty dope. They did different type of animation. I did see the movie. Am I like, damn, I got to see this movie again? If I would have seizures, I would probably get a shock from all of this flashing lights happens in the screen.
Angel, you're number 12.
My number 12 is Man of Steel, Henry Cavill. A big piece of meat, hunk of a man.
I'm okay with my sexuality to say that he's a good-looking guy.
Superman done right, I think. This is how Superman's supposed to be done. It's not a man who's out of breath. Not a man who second guesses himself what he should do. He's not emotionally attached. It's a man. It's a real man playing Superman. Not super. I don't know what they doing now to these days.
I wonder where he's going with this.
We finally got another version of Zod. Absolutely amazing. CGI, absolutely amazing. I love the destruction of the city. The CGI, can I say CGI, Frank?
Of course.
Was absolutely amazing. Do you think so, Frank? Are you going to agree with me finally?
I'll let you finish, and then I'll say my say. Yeah.
Superman done right. I'm sorry that a lot of people like this brighter Superman that's out. I don't really like to talk bad about something to make what my point of another movie is good, but this is how Superman is supposed to be done. Untouchable, bulletproof, doesn't feel anything. Does he have a weakness? Yes, it's kryptonite, and that's it. And maybe Lois Lane. What do you think, Frank? You think is my Superman is a good placement? I mean, you can breathe heavy all you want.
Well, I already mentioned Man of Steel.
You did.
I already did. Probably more solid than a lot of the Marvel films. Marvel films can go from really, really good CGI to really, really crappy. 1 minute you can de-age Sam Jackson and make him look like a young man, and another moment, you've got a rhinoceros that's licking a woman and it looks like a cartoon. Moving on, my number 12 is Deadpool. Came out in 2016. This is full on rated R comic book movie. This is not something you take your little kids to see. You've got Deadpool jerking off to a unicorn. He's having sex with a prostitute. He's going to strip clubs. Tried to do Deadpool before in X-Men Origins Wolverine. And that version, which did have Ryan Reynolds playing the part, it was garbage. And even Ryan Reynolds knew it was garbage, which is why Ryan Reynolds was very smart. He did like a shorter version of what he wanted to do. And he very cleverly leaked it out on the internet so that people could see what it could be. And people loved it so much that they screamed at Fox and said, you got to make that movie. And the movie was an absolute hit. I've loved Ryan Reynolds for years, even before Deadpool. He was in Blade 3, a really, really bad movie, but guess what? He was hilarious in that. He was one of my favorite comedies, the movie Waiting, which is all about a comedy about Applebee's type restaurant where all types of shenanigans go on. Angel, what is your number 11?
Batman Begins. Christian Bale. I'm a big Christian Bale fan. I like another, I don't know if a lot of people out there saw Reign of Fire. I loved him in that movie. Didn't really make a high rating. It's on my list. I do like Gotham City in this movie. I do like the cinematography. Who doesn't love Morgan Freeman? Great actor. I just have this big problem with the voice disguise. Not into that. I am not into that. The action is dope. The weapons are dope. I'm into that. Listen, Batman and Iron Man are probably my favorite comic book heroes. It's just, I have better Batman. I'm not too sure if you're going to agree with me, but my boy is Ben Affleck.
Batman Begins is also my number 11. I think it's the perfect Batman origin story. It's all about Batman, all about Bruce Wayne and how he became Batman. It's definitely a more grounded version of Batman. I love the whole League of Shadows, how he learned how to, join them. Batman is a ninja. If you don't know that by now, I don't know what to tell you.
Ninja detective.
He's a ninja, and this shows that. This shows where he got his ninja skills from, shows who his mentor was, who he is.
Introduction of Ra's al Ghul.
It's world building. I thought the cast was perfect. Everybody, every character, fantastic. They didn't go with the Joker off the bat. They went with smaller villains. Nolan really started something with this movie. It's probably one of the best DC films out there. I do think that the Batman voice progressively gets worse throughout the movies. He doesn't really do too much of it in this film. And then in the second and third film, he gets...
Not into that.
I agree.
My number 10, Spider-Man No Way Home, 2021. We finally got to see all three Spider-Mans together on the silver screen, which everybody was dying to see. We got our Tobey Maguire fans, we got our Andrew Garfield fans, and we also have our Tom Holland fans. We got to satisfy everyone. And Doctor Strange was in this movie, which they do him so well in the Marvel universe. Can't think of anybody else to play him. Action was phenomenal. Dr. Octopus, the Green Goblin, the fight scene between him and Spider-Man in the hallway was practically one of the best scenes in the movie. We have our Jamie Foxx, one of the dopest actors out there, playing Electro. Would I use somebody else, even though Jamie Foxx is a great actor? Yes, but we got to see him again, even better than the first time he played him. That last scene where they were all on the Statue of Liberty swinging, that was absolutely phenomenal. We wanted to see this. We want from that first meme where they were all pointing at each other. This was a movie that everybody was waiting for. It had to make my top 10. It was like Endgame Spider-Man movie.
And my number 10 is Marvel's The Avengers, came out in 2012. This is a movie that defied the odds. You got solo superhero movies, and then you're combining all of these characters to form a team. It was the first time it was really ever done. Not only did they do it, they knocked it out the park. My theater experience was jaw-dropping. It was so much better than I ever could have thought. Is it a perfect movie? No. I think Captain America's outfit is absolutely cringy, but that's minor.
Again, glass half empty. Are you serious? You'll take a point off because of a character's...
Yes. If there's a flag on the play, I got to throw the flag on the play.
All right, bro.
Captain America's outfit was ridiculous, which is why the following Captain America movie fixed that shit real quick. But
developing the movie, Frank. Developing the movie.
The first Captain America movie came out before Avengers, and he had a phenomenal outfit. So I don't want to hear that shit. Angel, you're number 9.
Number 9, Ant-Man. Oh my God, this is such a fun movie. CGI was great, Frank.
Yeah.
The only reason why it didn't make it into a higher part for me was we didn't get to Hank Pym, the original Ant-Man, which I would have had loved to see. Michael Douglas is a great actor. You know, if they would have did a Hank Pym movie, Ant-Man, it probably would have been my top 5. But such a fun movie, such a colorful movie, so funny. The special effects were amazing, how he went from small to big. Can they pick anybody else? I can't see anybody else playing Ant-Man.
I absolutely love Ant-Man. If you watch my ranking of the MCU, it's very high on that list. I have an even deeper feeling for the movie because I am a single father who raised my daughter and wanted to make sure that I was in her life. And that's what this movie is all about. On top of that, having these Ant-Man movies in the MCU fits. It works because you have all these big universal crises happening. You know, this one wants to take over the world. This one wants to put the world in darkness. Ant-Man movies are not about that. Ant-Man movies are smaller in size, pun intended. They're ant-sized movies for a bigger universe, and they're kind of there to kind of break the tension. I absolutely love that. I think the cast is completely underrated. You have so many great people in this movie. Michael Douglas, T.I. You could go down the line. I find it funny. It's got a little bit of a Latin feel to it, especially in the beginning. Coming in at my number 9 is Captain America Civil War. Came out in 2016. This movie introduces both Spider-Man and Black Panther. For that reason alone, it's a top 5 Marvel movie all by itself, just for doing that. I think it's the best version of the Tom Holland Spider-Man. I think this is the best version of Black Panther. Not crazy about the whole, his new suit, he can absorb energy and all that. I prefer, he has a vibranium suit. It makes him pretty much indestructible. Don't need any more than that. On top of that, this is one of the few MCU movies where the villain actually wins. And that's what you get with this movie. Besides the fact that you have the Avengers split in two and fighting each other. You got Team Iron Man. You got Team Captain America. Obviously, people had different feelings on who they rooted for. But they did well with that fight. The Avengers split up. And this is what leads to everything involving with the Infinity Gauntlet.
Oh, my number 8 is Guardians of the Galaxy. What do I think about Guardians of the Galaxy? No one even know about Guardians of the Galaxy. Did I grew up, anybody asked me, did you read a Guardian of the Galaxy comic book? No, not at all. But did I think that this movie was fun? Did I think that this movie was colorful? Did I think the acting was great? Did I think the actors were great? Hell yeah, I did. This movie was off the charts. I loved it as soon as I saw it. The soundtrack was amazing. The acting was amazing. The CGI was amazing. How you like that one, Frank? This movie was so fun, so dope. The characters were all likable. We didn't even know who they were, and we loved them from jump, from the beginning. Guardians of the Galaxy had to make my top 10 list.
Moving on, we come to my number 8, which is Spider-Man No Way Home. And I really love the fact that we get all 3 Spider-Men in one movie. It's a multiverse movie. Not only that, these characters and their villains are not just there as like cameos, which the MCU can sometimes do that. They'll throw in extra characters to make you go, oh, look at that one. He's from this movie. They're here to be actual characters and take part. Even the villains all take part in this movie. They all have a role to play. I think the first 15 to 20 minutes of this movie, not very good. The whole Doctor Strange setup, it could have been done better. But once Doc Ock shows up on that highway, we are off to the motherfucking races. We are off, and it's a ride. It doesn't stop. You ask me who my favorite Spider-Man is, it's tough. I'm not going to say one over the other two. I like aspects of each Spider-Man, and I think each one of them brings something to the table. The spider suits with Tom Holland have like the eye animations, which really work best because in the comics, those eye animations are everywhere. You read any Spider comic book, you see the little spider sense, and you see his eyes change,
showing expression,
showing his mood. The fans of both other two Spider-Men get to take part in this. It makes all the Spider-Man movies part of the MCU, at least as a separate universe. I'm a big Spider-Man fan. I'm biased.
Yes.
You know, it is what it is, man. You give me 3 Spider-Man in one movie. Mic drop, I'm good.
My number 7 is The Dark Knight, 2008. It's a Batman movie, but can we, is it safe to consider it as a Joker movie? Heath Ledger murdered this movie. Performance, he outshined the main character. Do we love Heath Ledger as the Joker? Yes, we wanted more of him. Rest in peace, Heath Ledger. Ain't nobody else can do what he did. No portrayal, no Joker on screen. Did I love Jack Nicholson's Joker? I did. He portrayed the original Joker on television. But Heath Ledger destroyed this Joker. The introduction of this movie, the bank scene, the robbery, amazing. Wearing that clown mask to show his face, to reveal another clown underneath it. Everything about this was absolutely superb. Great movie. Again, I love the way they did Gotham City here. Action was great. The Tommy gun, the nurse scene. Two-Face was great on the screen for me. This movie probably could have been higher, but I have more mentions.
Moving on, we're going to get to my number 7, which is Unbreakable. Came out in 2000. So M. Night Shyamalan had just come out with The Sixth Sense, which blew him the F up in Hollywood. And then he came out with Unbreakable. So people thought, once again, like I spoke on V for Vendetta, they thought they were going to see something similar. And the trailers came out and they were like, what is this? Guy survives a train wreck? What are we doing here? And what we got was, in my opinion, the most realistic situation in which an actual human from our world, if he were to have some sort of super ability, and what if there was a mirror version where that person was like the villain? It paid homage to comic books. Samuel Jackson's character, Mr. Glass, sold comic books, sold the artwork for comic books. It was all about comic books. That's what people didn't get when they hit the theaters, and that's why the movie slightly suffered. Upon rewatch, it became a cult classic real quick, and it's something special. It's something that is deeper, much deeper than the stuff that we see in everyday comic book movies. I have a huge love for it. They actually did 2 more movies many, many years down the line. I think all 3 movies are solid.
Oh, man. Unbreakable was a great movie. I saw it when I was much younger. I actually enjoyed the movie. When I put it on a comic book list, it is based off comic books, like characters, comic book-ish. But, I think that a lot of people agree with me that would it be on a comic book list?
Unbreakable, not a comic book movie. Give me a break.
Dark Horse? Is it Image? Is it Marvel? Is it DC? It's not. No. But is it going to make a comic book list? It's a guy who's Unbreakable. It's based on comic books, but it's not.
Thus, it makes the list.
You write to me. Let me know. Do you think should it be in a comic book list? That's all I'm saying. I'm not saying it's a bad movie, Frank.
Let's hear your thoughts in the comment section.
Yes.
Is it a comic book movie?
Yes.
A movie literally about comic books. But Did
you go to the comic book store and buy an Unbreakable comic book?
Do they have comic book stores in the movie? Yeah, they do. What is your number 6?
My number 6 is Captain America: Civil War. We have all the great comic book superheroes in one movie. Half is on Captain America's side, like Frank said, and half is on Iron Man's side, like also what Frank said. Going at it. We get the introduction of Black Panther, and we get the introduction of Spider-Man. Spider-Man looked absolutely amazing in his suit. I love the fact that, Black Panther's trying to go at Bucky because he thinks he killed his father, and that's Captain America's best friend, and he ain't trying to have that. Does Black Panther kick Captain America's ass? Absolutely. I love, as you guys can see, I am a big Black Panther fan, and I love the portrayal. I love Chadwick Boseman as the actor. Absolutely amazing actor. His backstory is amazing. If you do not know about this actor, fight between Captain America and Iron Man, straight out of the comic book. That's why my Civil War, it's in a higher place than yours.
Moving on to my number 6, we have The Crow, came out in 1994. This is a movie that's very similarly to, The Dark Knight, which had the tragedy of Heath Ledger dying right before the release of the movie. We had the same situation with Brandon Lee, who was unfortunately killed during the making of the movie. I love the fact that it's gothic, it's dark, it's kind of almost like a horror version of a comic book kind of movie. He has kind of a healing factor similar to Wolverine or Deadpool, but not in that kind of mutant way. He has it more in a supernatural way, with the whole thing with the Crow being the holder of his powers. Love all that. Love the cast here with the bad guys, the guys who killed him and his fiance. They're just kind of really wacky characters. Lee knocked it out the damn park with his portrayal, which is why this franchise has had something like 3 or 4 sequels and a remake, and they all damn suck as far as I'm concerned. They don't hold a match to the first one, and it's the only one I really watch.
Thought the movie was good for its time. I saw the movie probably once. Wasn't really interested in it. Would I go buy a Crow comic book? I probably wouldn't. My number 5 is Avengers Endgame. We got all the superheroes and villains in one movie, which we were all dying. The anticipation build up for this part and for this moment right here. Did we get the Hulk get beat up by Thanos? We did. Did we want to see another fight between Hulk and Thanos? We didn't get it. Is it a perfect movie? It's not. But it was exciting. It was fun. The CGI was amazing. The colors, the weapons, the fighting, everybody on one screen. Oh my God, it was amazing. It was mind-blowing. It was like Thanksgiving to me. It had everything on that table. It was so dope. Man, this is something that we wanted for a very long time, and we got it. Was it as good as Infinity War? No, it wasn't. Infinity War was just a little bit better for me. But still, this was like the cherry on top. This is what we wanted. This is what we needed. That time where Captain America picked up Thor's hammer. Everybody went absolutely bonkers. Everybody went nuts when we saw that. Was I expecting that? No, I was not expecting that. At first, I was a little bit bothered, but then I ended up appreciating it. You have to pick up the hammer. You have to be worthy of picking up the hammer. And, is Captain America the right person to pick up the hammer? Yes, it was.
Moving on to my number 5 is The Dark Knight. As Angel said, this is more of a Joker movie. It does continue the Batman story, obviously, but I feel like he's more in the background. He's kind of recovering from the events of the first movie, and the Joker is kind of a new threat that he doesn't know how to handle. Obviously, Heath Ledger is, in my opinion, the best Joker ever. I think that whether he passed away or not, he'd still be the best Joker. The movie is pretty much flawless. I mentioned that the Joker movie was all about mental health. This Joker is all about chaos. He's an agent of chaos. He's not in it for the money. He's not in it for any kind of fame. He's in it for the freaking craziness that he is as a character. I think Ledger, his performance is probably something that's not going to be topped. The movie is probably, the best Batman movie ever made. Angel, you're number 4.
Avengers Infinity War. One of the biggest Marvel movies of all time. Again, we have all these characters on the same screen. Action, CGI, absolutely amazing. A very, very, very fun movie to watch. We got an accurate Thanos. We got an accurate color of him, the way he looks, the size. Josh Brolin. No one else can touch this guy. I was absolutely excited, like everybody else. Couldn't wait for this movie to come out. Was it perfect? No, again, it wasn't perfect. You know, we were supposed to have more characters in these movies. Like other companies own different characters, but they did the best that they can for what we had. If we would have had these characters, would the movie would have been different? It probably would have. But we did so good with this movie, and it was almost perfect. It could have been a little bit better at certain things, you know, but you cannot touch this movie right now with a 10-foot pole for what we had and what we got was absolutely amazing.
My number 4 is Guardians of the Galaxy. Very similar to what Angel said. When they announced Guardians of the Galaxy, I had heard of them. You know, did I actually read a comic? No. I was like, what are they doing? I took my daughter to see this in the theater, and we were absolutely blown away. That theater experience is something very, very special. At the ending, you know, with the whole dance-off thing. The end of the first Avengers movie does introduce Thanos, but most people didn't even know what Thanos is about. This one, you know, pulls him out. He's flesh and blood here. He's part of it. He's the one behind it all. You're taking a group of misfits. They're all kind of villains in that kind of way, and they're putting them all together to form a kind of team to save the galaxy. I love the fact that it's cosmic. It's based in space opera, very similar to what Star Wars was. It's kind of like the MCU's version of Star Wars in a lot of ways. And you needed that so that you can have your Infinity War and your Endgame.
Wait a minute.
You needed that.
Did Peter Quill kiss his sister?
Did Peter Quill kiss his sister? You're going to have to elaborate on that. Oh, The Empire Strikes Back. Oh, I get it. Oh, okay.
No, I was because Luke Skywalker kissed his sister. He was referencing Guardians of the Galaxy and Star Wars. I don't see it.
They both take place in space, have spaceships, have space battles.
So then all space movies are the same damn.
I didn't say all space movies. I said
so then you cannot. They all have spaceships and have battles.
They all pretty much came from the best, which is Star Wars. Why would I compare them to a lesser movie? Star Wars is the best of the best as far as space.
I don't see Guardians of the Galaxy and Star Wars even the same. I do not. My number 3, and I'm saying this with pride, Black Mother Effing Panther. One of the badass movies that is out there. When this movie came out, I absolutely loved it. The background, I love the scenery, I love the way it takes place. Chadwick Boseman again. Then we threw in Michael B. Jordan, one of the badass dudes on silver screen to this day. He started from The Wire, and he was just this little skinny kid that had him here, you know, with all the scars on his chest, and that's like taking it right out of Africa. It counts for how many bodies he has. The acting that just coming out of the pores out of both men, you know. The storyline, the betrayal out of Chadwick Boseman's father against his father, just everything about this movie was so damn dope. So damn dope.
So my number 3 is Captain America Winter Soldier. Came out in 2014. I think it's a kind of a reboot of the first Captain America movie in the sense that he's definitely a better fighter. You see it in the first scene when he goes on the ship. He's got a better outfit, obviously, as we mentioned. He's doing parkour. He's kicking ass. He's moving with greater speed. They fixed the character. I felt that the character needed some fixing. You got yourself an MCU movie that's not just a superhero movie. It's a political thriller. It's a spy movie. Got the whole thing with, S.H.I.E.L.D. and Hydra, and how Hydra was kind of in the shadows the whole time. You've got your Winter Soldier situation, which you didn't read the comics, you didn't know that Bucky was the Winter Soldier. So it was a great reveal for those who didn't know that. You want me to point out a flaw? This movie has 0 flaws. The movies further on in my list, coming up to number 1, they have flaws. But this is my number 1 solo superhero movie of all time, and it is perfect.
My number 2 is the very first Avenger movie. Made it all the way up there because that's what started it all. My favorite portrayal out of the Hulk, out of all the Avenger movies, we got to see Hawkeye, we got to see Black Widow, we got to see Captain America, we got to see the Hulk, we got to see Iron Man, all on the same screen. Thor on the same screen. We all got to see them interact with one another. I think they did a great job. We got to see Loki. Nobody is going to play Loki better than Edelstein. The movie was absolutely dope. I was dying to see the whole Avengers. Was it perfect? No, again, it wasn't. And we didn't have certain characters that was fully owned by Marvel.
Coming in at my number 2, my runner-up is Infinity War. Huge film, not just huge in scale, not just huge in how epic it is. It's basically a version of the Infinity Gauntlet storyline from the comics, where your Avengers movie took solo movies. Now we're taking Guardians of the Galaxy, we're adding that. We're taking aspects, we're taking that space aspect, we're adding that. And we're going even higher in scale. And I thought it was very clever the way they did it. He mentions the fact that they were missing some characters. And yes, not only were they missing characters, the original story was more cosmic. It had, Galactus and all types of huge cosmic beings. Huh? They couldn't do that with this movie, but they did a perfect version with what they had. Is it perfect? No. I think they shit all over the Hulk character. I thought Ruffalo was absolutely terrible. Not being able to get it up. What did he needed Hulk Viagra or something? Slapping himself on the ground. He looked ridiculous. They made him a joke. I hated that. I'm a big fan of the Hulk as a character. So I agree with Angel in the fact that
they did not do that.
They needed to have a rematch at some point.
Yes.
We never got that, and I hated that. This is one of the few comic book movies where the villain wins once again. I think that whole scene with Thor getting his new hammer and showing up to save the day, it's just that it's the biggest moment in the film. It's just so epic in scale, which is why I have it above Winter Soldier. Obviously, Winter Soldier, I already mentioned, has 0 flaws. But the scale of a movie with like 30 characters compared to 2 or 3, it's a different level. And I always include theater experience. And my theater experience with this movie was phenomenal.
There was a lot of things that was missing from comic book readers. Like, I wanted to see Thanos' wife, Death. I wanted to see Adam Warlock.
They did what they could do with what they had.
Yes.
Adam Warlock, did they have the character? They did. But Adam Warlock was a character in the comics that was developed through many years. And it's very hard to just pluck him in last minute after you made 18 movies.
Exactly.
And it's very hard to do that. So it's very difficult. Exactly. The Lady Death thing, if you do the Lady Death thing, then you got to include all those cosmic beings. Like
Do it. We got cosmic beings already.
But
Celestials. We got Thanos. We got already.
In that story, the heroes lose. They all get killed off.
So what?
We're talking about a larger group of fans. They're not going to get into that deep cosmic stuff. This is for the average fan. This is not for the comic enthusiasts like we are. I get where you're coming. You want something more comic accurate. But if you go comic accurate, what's the point in going to see the movie? You already know what's going to happen. This gives you a different version, which I thought was great for what it was.
I understand about making money and getting a broader audience, which I think they're going to be nosy and want to see it anyway, just like that terrible movie Venom.
If you duplicate the story from the comic, why even bother to go see it? You got the comic, just read the comic. Oh, okay. So I don't know what a live action exact Infinity Gauntlet storyline would even accomplish and whether or not it would be as big as this. Because there would be people in the theaters going, well, who's this guy? What does Galactus have to do? Oh, there's Silver Surfer. Do we even have Silver Surfer? Can we even do this?
Look at that.
We can't do this. They didn't have Fantastic Four at the time.
Look at that.
So they couldn't even do it what you're asking. So you're asking them to do something that, you know, couldn't be done. And if it was done, why bother? It's the same story.
We would have just loved to see these characters on the silver screen. Beta Ray Bill, Silver Surfer, Adam Warlock, Death. Imagine just seeing it. It would have been more money.
So Lady Death has shown up in the MCU now. Beta Ray Bill was an Easter egg in
Nobody would have known that unless other people on YouTube would have mentioned it.
That's why it's an Easter egg. That's because it's for us, the comic enthusiasts.
Okay.
But people are not going to know who he is.
Still want to see a man.
Could you do a Thor movie with Beta Ray Bill? Absolutely. You could do that one right now and give you the Beta Ray Bill that you want. But, you know, when you're making these movies, you can't throw every single Thor story out there. They've only made 3 of them.
Just take
they
the
want
time,
to make a 4th one. Angel, your number 1 comic book movie of all time. Hit me. What is it?
Captain America Winter Soldier. The badass movie of Marvel movie history to me. One of the baddest action, high-octane movies in Marvel history. We have the Black Widow. We have Samuel L. Jackson's Nick Fury. We have Captain America. We have Bucky. Captain America and Bucky, they have the biggest bromance on Marvel history. So Captain America is stuck between saving his best friend or someone who's trying to help him get his best friend. We got Nick Fury, one of the badasses, curses like a mother. This movie is absolutely dope. From start to finish, when this movie came out, the elevator scene, everything about this movie, I just love it. Maybe not made yours, but it definitely made mine. And
moving on, because we got to wrap this shit up. And my number 1 comic book movie of all time is Avengers Endgame. Is this movie perfect? Absolutely not. Is it flawed? Oh my God, does it have flaws? Everything from Fat Thor, which that joke ran way too long, to everything from like Captain Marvel's terrible haircut, it has problems. At the end of the day, I don't care that it has problems. It took something like 11 to 12 years of movies, of stories. There was all one big story, and it gave you an ending. It wrapped it all up. It closed off all the storylines. It started some new stuff for the future. Moments in this movie are huge. When you talk about Fat Thor grabbing both hammers, lightning coursing through his body, and him powering up, he got all of a sudden Viking braids in his beard. He's got lightning coming out of his eyes. And he's like, and you got the trinity of Thor, Iron Man, and Captain America taking on Thanos. And Thanos ain't no punk. Other heroes showing up through portals. Insane. Captain America picking up Thor's hammer, which quietly, ever so quietly, was set up in other movies, all the way back to Ultron. Every single time I went to the theater to see this, the place was packed. The place was a rocking. Those moments that I mentioned to you, people lost their shit. Come to the end of this video. Listen, guys, all I can tell you is I want to see your lists. I want you to tell me what you guys thought of Angel. Do you want to see Angel in more projects with me? From the city that never sleeps. Peace, people.
This is a Brooklyn-bound express train. The next stop is Brooklyn Bridge.
Stand clear of the closing doors, please.